released its small business index for the month of July, revealing that both optimism and uncertainty are on the rise. Holly Wade, executive director of the NFIB Research Center, joins me now. Holly, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, Holly, your report found that business owners are feeling positive lately. What factors are driving this overall improvement in business health?
Sure. So the small business owners that we surveyed in July, they were a bit more optimistic than they have been. We saw a decent increase in our index, largely related to a shift in small business owners expecting business conditions to improve over the next 6 months. So we've seen a bit of a decline in that question within the index, and that improved substantially in July, and largely related to, some kind of calming feelings related to the turmoil of tariffs, some of that, but also one of the big drivers was the big beautiful bill passing and their ability to now focus on operating their business and dealing with some of the price increases and not having to anticipate a tax increase at the end of the year.
And how did you gather this data and compile this report?
Sure. So we randomly sample a large sample of our 300,000 members, all small business owners of NFIB, and we mail a questionnaire to them. It's been in the news quite a bit lately, the surveys, those in the survey business, and how hard it is, how challenging it is to retain those high response rates. That's been a problem over a number of years, not just recently. There's a lot of competition out there to better understand consumers, business owners. So the increase in surveys, but then also just the technology of how we typically surveyed business owners has shifted how we can communicate and contact owners. So the survey is a mail survey. But we're facing challenges like everybody in maintaining those response rates.
So, Holly, optimism is up, but uncertainty is also up by 8 points. What is your takeaway from that?
So on the uncertainty front, there was a huge shift in those when we ask about whether they think it's a good time to expand, a bad time to expand, or they're uncertain. So there was a large shift in those who previously said it was a bad time to expand and moving to the uncertain, I'm not really sure. We're sitting around kind of waiting to see how things develop. So that was a major shift on the uncertainty index. It's been elevated for a number of years, but we did see quite a jump in the July data.
And Holly, one of the greatest drivers of uncertainty, according to your report, is labor quality. It's something I hear from a lot of small business owners. Why do you think that that's such an issue?
So yes, we've seen just shy of a third of our members say that either labor quality or the cost of labor are their biggest issues in operating their business. And that's been a pervasive issue since around 2016, 17, 18, where we really saw a ramp up in business owners, having issues relating to retaining qualified workers, finding qualified applicants, and then more recently, the increase in costs and having those cost pressures on competing on the compensation level. And so this has increased in severity, but it's a problem that we've seen kind of across the board for a number of years now, and specifically in industries related to construction, manufacturing, and some service sector areas.
And Holly, in about a minute, is there anything else you want us to know about this report? Any takeaways?
So inflation, that's been one where we've seen a decline in those saying that it's their biggest problem. 11% this year or this last month said that, inflation was their biggest problem. And that's a huge decline from the average over the last number of years, which has been hovering around 23%, the average since 2022. And also we're below the average of those who plan to increase their prices and those who actually increase prices. So that part of business operation has eased up quite a bit. And that's been a huge relief for a lot of small business owners in trying to manage cash flow and operations of their business.
Thank you, Holly Wade, Executive Director of the NFIB Research Center. In other news, the NY